I, in my infinite wisdom, decided to go, how can we extract actual creator insight from this report to kind of get rid of the spin and actually pull out the things of value, the pieces of value that might actually be interesting to a creator. I have some exciting, fresh information for you guys. As we all know, Twitch released their transparency report. Transparency report of 2020, where they put everything out there and how they do things, and it all looks fancy. Hey, look, 92%, 95%. Look at that, only 3,200 chat messages and enforcements per channel, and here it is for users reports per 1,000 hours. What I want to make very, very clear about transparency reports, particularly this transparency report, and this is something that was fully admitted, by the way. This is not me making this up. This was admitted by Angela Hessian.
That's very much focused on regulators and advertisers.
Who is the head of trust and safety at Twitch, came from Xbox. This document is not for you and I. It is not for the community at large. It is not for viewers. It's not for streamers. This document is for regulators, and it is for advertisers. And one of the things that I immediately recognized as being that was the fact that it was enforcements per 1,000 hours watched. That seemed like a really weird statistic to me. I didn't understand why they put it in 1,000 hours watched. This is going to absolutely skew the statistics up. For the majority of the platform, you're not actually commenting on them. This is only you're talking about your top streamers. And they don't really give you the exact numbers here. They kind of show you, okay, well, here's the channel enforcement actions. Here's the total number of user reports we received, 5.9 million and 7.3 million. But they don't break it down. How many is this? How many is this? How many reports for this? How many reports for this? Same with, so this is the total enforcement actions. So this is Twitch responding to all of these reports. And you go, okay, 1.8, 1.9 million actions based upon 13 million total reports. That doesn't seem great. I, in my infinite wisdom, decided to go, how can we extract actual creator insight from this report to kind of get rid of the spin and actually pull out the things of value, the pieces of value that might actually be interesting to a creator. And we can't do a lot. I'll say that right off the top. There's not a lot that we can do, but we can do some things. Content, and I literally just stole their entire graphical outlays, and I was like, yeah, I'm just going to make that my own. Content consumed, top 100, top 1,000 rest. If you look at the platform, and again, this is based on Sully Gnome data, there was 18.6 billion hours watched in 2020. 18.6 billion hours watched. The top 100 channels made up 3.4 billion, or 18% of total consumption. Those top 100, just 100 creators, 18% of all the watch time on this platform. If you expand that out to the top 1,000, it works out to 8.5 billion hours watched, or 46%. Nearly half of the content on this platform is being watched for the top 1,000. So it kind of ties in with this with this tweet to kind of makes you give you another alternate perspective. That means that the remaining, so again, this 1,000 includes this. So technically this would look like this, because this part goes over here, and then this is the 900 streamers. 900 streamers make up this difference there. So that leaves the remaining 51% for the rest of us. The rest of us. All other streamers. 14.7 million channels went live at least once in 2020. And that means that 14.699 million channels make up this section, this final section. And one of the data points that they actually provided at the top here was to say 95% of all hours, or they used minutes watched. 95, 92. So you balance those out because those are halves, and you base it upon the total hours watched per half. 44 million hours of content watched on this platform had no moderation. They had no auto mod, and they had no moderators. This looks great. 95%. That's huge. But when you put it into perspective, because you recognize that, hey, all of those top streamers, they have a mod. They often have staff in their chat even. That's a bigger section. That's a bigger section overall. 44 million hours of unmoderated content. This is also kind of another interesting thing. I don't know if I have... I don't have a chart to support this, but this was just incidental information. There were 769 million hours streamed in 2020. Nearly a billion, well, 750 million hours were streamed on Twitch in 2020. Of that, the top 1,000 streamers made up only 2 million hours. So 0.3% of all hours streamed was the top 1,000 streamers, despite the fact that they have 48% of total consumption. That's a wild statistic. The numbers on Twitch are so top-heavy. Twitch is a top-heavy platform where the big get bigger and the small continue to stay small. If we go back to this one, we have a total number of user reports, but how do you determine how much is this? What is this right there? How many reports is that? It's not an exact science. I'll be honest with you guys. This is not exact. But what you can do is when you take it into its full size, you go, okay, this whole section is 5.929112. You count the number of pixels that exists in this chart, and you divide that by this number, and you get something that is roughly 19,000 in total. Then you count this. I count this section. 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 The number of pixels that they are, and you multiply by this number. You repeat it for here as well. And that actually gives you a relatively reasonable looking number. And it works out to 49% of all reports, 6.5 million in total, were for view botting, spam, other community violations. 3.9 million reports, or 29%, were hateful conduct, harassment, and sexual harassment. 1.5 million reports, 11% total, were violence, gore, and shocking content. 1.1 million reports, or 8%, are nudity, pornography, and sexual content. And 300,000, roughly, again, these are rough estimates. This is for the entire year, yes. 300,000 reports, or 2%, were about terrorism. Which means, because we do have the exact number on the actions they took, so this is total enforcement actions. We can see the exact number here, half 1 and half 2 for hateful and sexual harassment. We can actually figure out exactly the ratio. Again, it's estimates. It's not a perfect, so they are estimates. We can figure out the ratio of how many reports actually got actioned. Here is your enforcement action taken by report category. So of the, in the view botting category, 26.5% of all reports ended up being actioned upon. Now, that's kind of to be expected. It's a little bit easier for a company like Twitch to kind of go, what is botting, what is view botting, what is spam. It's easy for them to look at chat logs, easier for them to do that and go, yeah, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it, get rid of it. Easy to do. So that number does not surprise me. In fact, you might even think that it might be higher. The other categories, much, much smaller, which again, somewhat expected for them to be smaller, because the nuance of, hey, what is hate and harassment? What is violence and gore? Those things are going to require somebody take a look at it and go, okay, is that what it is? Hateful conduct, 80,000 hateful conduct reports were processed. Now, again, 80,000 were processed, but look how many of their total report were actually submitted. 29% of all reports were hate and harassment, but only 2.1% resulted in any kind of punishment. 0.7 for violence or gore, 2.5 for nudity or porn, and 0.03. You can't see it because it's behind me here, but that's terrorism. Where are the DMCA strikes? Not included. Not included. They're not included in this. Twitch did not include that information. I have a little bit of comparison points here that I think is interesting. This is Snapchat. Everybody knows Snapchat. It's a little engine that could. They released a transparency report. This one is released in December. So they release it seemingly every half year, similar to what Twitch is going to do. And they actually showed the exact number of reports, number of content enforcements, unique accounts, turnaround time, so how long it took. This is a great bit of data, by the way, and Twitch should really probably include that to say, hey, yes, when we have hate and harassment reports, we respond to them within 3 days, 4 days, whatever. I also pulled up YouTube's transparency report. And so just for context or comparison point, Snapchat enforced harassment reports at a rate of 20%. Of all the reports, 20% of them ended up resulting in some kind of action, and 36% for sexual content. YouTube, which is probably the more direct comparison, removed 8% of videos reported for sexual content. Again, 2.5 on Twitch, and removed about 3% for hateful and harassing content. So a little bit higher there, but that does give you kind of a balance to look at that and go, wow, that looks really, really bad. But then you look at YouTube and you go, well, okay, 3%. It's a little bit higher on there. And then I have one other bit of data here. I don't have a chart for it. I estimate approximately, based on streamer bans, that 1,800 suspensions were issued to Twitch partners, which works out to 0.1% of all punishments. So again, if you go back to this data, the total enforcement actions taken, 0.1 of them were against partners. Now, a bunch of partners were repeat offenders. Some of them received up to 3, sometimes even 4. There's one guy, I think Opat, who got 5 suspensions in 2020. So there's definitely a lot of repeat offenders on that. And then the other interesting thing here is that partners made up 0.2% of total accounts that streamed in 2020. So again, going back to the kind of the bigger data picture, perhaps this, they make up 0.2% of partners of creators who streamed. I think this, I personally feel that this gives a better look into this data. And again, it's not perfect because they don't provide the exact numbers, so I had to do my best with what they did, and then take some kind of external data as well. I'll post this all on Creator Hype so you can see the data for yourself. You'll be able to kind of go through it and see any additional takes that I had on it, because I did write a little thing on this as well. But yeah. Thought I would share that with you guys. You guys get the first, you get the exclusive to see that fresh information. Hey, if you enjoyed this video, make sure you click like, click subscribe up there, and then watch this video. What else you got to do? You're on YouTube anyways. You might as well watch something else. It's right there.